Now let's move on to the another topic, that is the excretory system in human being. So this is how the excretory system looks like. So this is the complete system. As you know that every organ system possesses organs. Organs are made up of tissues and tissues are made up of cells. So likewise, in this case, we have a complete system which comprises of organs, tissues and cells. So this is the excretory system. You can see that it consists of two kidneys, a bean-shaped structure, they are called as kidneys, and you can see that a tube running down, a tubular structure going down, that are called as ureters, right? So there are two ureters, or you can say there is a pair of ureter which emerge from each kidney. So we have two kidneys, we have two ureters, and then you can see that they are opening into a sac. That sac is called as urinary bladder, right? And the opening of urinary bladder is called as urethra. So these are the prime organs which are involved in the excretory system. I think you got it. Let's revise it again. We have kidneys, bean-shaped kidneys. Then we have a tubular structure, that is the ureters. Then we have a sac-like structure which is called as urinary bladder. And then we have an opening for the excretion of urine, that is called as urethra. So this is how it looks like. Now it is all about the organs. Now let's move on to the internal structure. So this is how the kidney looks like. Let's focus on the kidney first now. So as you can see, like if I talk about its shape, how it looks like. It looks like a bean. That is the reason I'm again and again saying that it is a bean shaped, right? So kidneys are basically bean shaped. Now, if you look at the internal structure, so we roughly divide the kidney into two parts, right? The outer portion is called as cortex and the inner portion, what you're seeing inside it, is called as medulla, right? So there is the roughly demarcation, that is the cortex, the outer part, and the internal part is called as medulla. Got it? Bean-shaped kidney, then we have cortex, then we have medulla. Now, in medulla, you can see that there are the few ducts which are linked together. They are called as ducts of Bellini. They are called as ducts of Bellini. And this pyramid sort of structure which you can see inside, they form renal pyramids. They form renal pyramids. So, cortex, medulla, the renal pyramids. Then we have ducts of Bellini, that is the many small ducts which are uniting to form a big duct, that is called as ducts of Bellini, those minute ducts. And then they all are leading into a, you can say a tubular structure, that is called as ureter. And the point from where the ureter emerges is called as hilum, that is called as hilum. So I think it's clear. So let's do it again. We have cortex, we have medulla, we have renal pyramids, we have the ureter, we do have the ducts of Bellini, and hilum is the opening from where the ureter emerges out. And we do have the vessels which are concerned with it, that is the renal artery and the renal vein, which is bringing the deoxygenated blood and carrying out the oxygenated blood after the purification. So this is all about the kidney. Now we have learned on an organ level. Now if I talk about at cellular level, we know that every organ is made up of tissue and tissue is made up of cell. That is the reason we call cell as structural and functional unit of life. So likewise, the cell of the excretory system is called as nephron. That is called as nephron. And this is how it looks like. Do not get nervous by looking at its structure. I'm going to simplify it for you. So here we'll divide the complete nephron into different parts, right? Now we'll be taking part one by one. So the first thing, you can see that the cup-shaped structure. You can see that there is a cup-shaped structure, right? And it encloses the tuft of capillaries, right? So the tuft of capillaries, they form glomerulus. They form the glomerulus. And this cup-shaped structure is called as Bowman's capsule. It is called as Bowman's capsule. I think it's clear. Capillaries, they form glomerulus. Cup-shaped structure is Bowman's capsule. And the glomerulus along with this Bowman's capsule, it forms the malaphaesian body. It forms the Malpighian body. Now, you can see that a tubular structure is running down. You can see that a tubular structure is arising and it is moving down. It is called as PCT. It is called as PCT. I'm not going to expand these terms. After doing the structure, I'm going to tell you about the complete name. But at this moment, in order to avoid confusion, I want you to learn in the same way that it is called as PCT. A tubule that is called as PCT, which is running down. Now you can see that this tube is again leading into a tube which is going up. That one is descending down and the other which is ascending. So this descending one, it's already clear that it is called as PCT. The one which is ascending up is called as DCT. So here we have the another term, that is, one was the PCT, that is the descending tubular structure, and the ascending one is called as DCT. Now you can see that it leads into a further tubule, and this tubule is called as CT. Right. Now let's expand these abbreviations. PCT specifies proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule. And this limb which is going up is called as distal convoluted tubule. That is DCT. Distal convoluted tubule. And the third CT is called as collecting tubule. So I think you got it. PCT, DCT and CT. And this is also you have done, that is the Malpighian body that comprises of glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. Now these vessels are not just limited to the cup-shaped structure. It surrounds the nephron in this manner because these vessels are carrying blood, right? These capillaries are just surrounding the whole nephron. So I think it's clear now. So we can roughly divide this structure into two parts now, because we know that kidney has two parts. One is the cortex, that is the outer portion, and the inner one is called as medulla. So we can divide this nephron into two halves, right? So in first half, you can see that there is, on the upper side, we have the cup-shaped structure, that is the Bowman capsule, some part of PCT, some part of DCT. So this portion lies in cortex of kidney, right? Now, on the lower side, you can see that we have this U-shaped structure, which is formed by descending limb of PCT and ascending limb of DCT, right? And we do have a CT also in this portion, that is the collecting tubule. So this U-shaped structure and the CT, they lie in the medulla of kidney. So this portion lies in the cortex of kidney and this portion lies in the medulla of kidney. And one more important thing, that this U-shaped structure plays an important role, and it has a specific name, that is loop of Henle, or we can call it as Henle's loop, right? So Henle's loop is this U-shaped structure which is formed by the descending limb of PCT and ascending limb of DCT. So this is Henle's loop or loop of Henle's, and it plays an important role. And now what role does it play, we are going to discuss afterwards. So I think till now the structure of nephron is clear. So again, just we'll do a recap, because this is quite complex structure, and whenever you will get a question like this to write about the urine formation or the excretory system of man, you need to draw all the diagrams. So in this chapter, all the diagrams are very, very important, right? So I think at this moment, we are at a position to answer that what exactly is the excretory system of man, that is the kidneys, ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. We all know about it now. Second, you know about the kidney now, that in kidney we have the cortex, medulla, we have the renal pyramids, we have the ducts of Bellini, and we do have the ureter, hilum, and the renal artery and renal vein. Now, the nephron is also clear. Now, we'll be using all these three diagrams in the process that is called as urine formation. So I think it's clear now. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is urine formation, where we are going to see that how urine is formed and how it is excreted out and how these organs function together and help in excreting the urine. So let's start now. See, if somebody asks you to write about urine formation, first you have to specify that man is urotelic. The prime excretory nitrogenous waste in man is urea. So man is urotelic. And you know about the excretory system also, you know about the kidney also, you know about the nephron also. So now urine formation is divided into 3 steps. The first step we have is filtration. The second is the reabsorption, and the third step is the collection. So we are going to study the step one by one. So the first step is filtration. As the name suggests that during this step, something is going to filter out, right? So see the nephron now. You know that this is called as Malpighian body, that is the cup-shaped structure, Bowman's capsule enclosing the capillaries. Now, if you will clearly look at the inner wall of the Bowman's capsule with the help of microscope, you can see that there are small pores present in the inner wall. Those pores are called as fenestra. Those pores are called as fenestra. And you also know that inside the capillaries, there are lot of substances which are present in blood, because we all know blood is a circulating fluid. It is going to circulate everything which is taken inside our body to all parts, right? So in blood, there are useful and non-useful substances. So through fenestra, all the substances which are present in blood, whether they are useful or they are non-useful, they get filtered. They get filtered. And they move into this lymph which is descending down, that is called as PCT, right? So all those substances which are present in blood, whether they are useful or they are non-useful, they pass through these fenestral pores into PCT, and through PCT they move down and reaches the loop of Henle, that is this Henle's loop. So this is what is called as filtration. So it was the first step. Now the second step we know is the reabsorption. As the name suggests, reabsorption, that is the few substances are going to be reabsorbed now. So during reabsorption, what happens? The substances which reaches the loop of Henle consist of useful as well as non-useful substances. So the substances which are present in loop of Henle and that can be utilized by a body, they are put back into the capillary blood. As I already told you that whole nephron is surrounded by the capillaries, right? So all the substances which are useful in this filtrate and can be utilized by a body, they are put back into the capillary blood. And the remaining things which are left behind, they are regarded as waste. They are regarded as waste. And in this region, the water absorption also takes place. So now in loop of Henle, we have the waste, right? And the water absorption also take place. So now the waste and the water, they form urine. Waste and water, that is waste plus water, it forms urine. So this is all about the reabsorption. Now moving on to the third step, as I told you, third step is collection. So what happens in collection? So this urine moves from DCT to CT. This urine moves from DCT to CT, and we know that there are so many nephrons which are present in the kidney, right? And all of them would be having the CTs. So small CTs, that is the collecting tubules of different nephrons, right? They unite together to form the bigger CTs, that is the bigger collecting tubules, and finally they pour their secretion into renal pyramids. And through the renal pyramids, it moves on to the ducts of Bellini, and then it moves through ureter, right? That is a tubular structure which is running down. So it moves through the ureter and gets stored in the urinary bladder. As we have already discussed, that urinary bladder is a sac-like structure and its function is to temporarily store the urine, right? So it will store the urine temporarily, and then through urethra, it is excreted out. So I think you got it. What exactly is the collection now? So if somebody asks you about the urine formation, you need to mention all these 3 steps. First, that is the filtration, that is the substances useful or non-useful moving from fenestra to PCT, and through PCT reaching the loop of Henle. Second, that is in loop of Henle, reabsorption take place. That is the substances which are useful, they are put back into the capillary blood, and the remain is regarded as waste. In this region, the water absorption is taking place. So water plus waste forms urine. Third, we have collection, in which the urine moves from DCT to CT, then to bigger CTs, and finally to renal pyramids, and then via ducts of Bellini moves to ureter, and then through ureter it moves to a sac called urinary bladder. And in urinary bladder, the urine is temporarily stored, and then through urethra it is excreted out. Now I have a specific term for you that is called as micturition, right? So what do you mean by micturition? So the act of passing urine is termed as micturition, or you can say the process of passing urine is called as micturition. So I think you got it. So this is all about the excretory system of man and also the urine formation. One thing I would like to share with you, that whenever you encounter a question like this, that is explain the excretory system of man, then you need to draw all the diagrams, that is the excretory system, which we did earlier, that is the kidneys, ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. Secondly, you need to draw the diagram for the kidney also, showing cortex, medulla, renal pyramids, duct of Bellini, ureter and the renal artery and the renal vein. And third, you need to draw the diagram of nephron also. The whole process occurs when the impure blood is brought to kidney for the purification, which flows into glomerulus, and then the filtration, reabsorption, collection, everything goes as I told you, and then the urine is formed, which is excreted out, and the blood also gets purified, which is taken up by the renal vein, and it is ready to distribute in all parts of the body. So this is all about the excretory system of man and the urine formation.